So today we're going to begin a new unit on self-portraits, and that means we're going to be doing a different study of a contemporary artist and also a filmmaker, Tim Burton. So here's a quick, today all I'm looking for is to do a sketch like you see the one that I have here next to Tim Burton himself. He's known for many different movies and, Nightmare Before Christmas in the background, as you can see in the gifts here. All you're going to need today is you can have a mirror if you have one by you, or you can use your own camera on your computer if you want to look at yourself to get ideas of how to draw yourself. And obviously your sketchbook or paper and a pencil or a marker if you want to try doing it that way. So let's take a little bit more look into who Tim Burton is.
Welcome to New York City, the year 2009. And we venture into the Museum of Modern Art to view their newest installation. Wide-eyed, quirky drawings, statues with long limbs, jaws full of teeth, scary enough to give you nightmares, glow-in-the-dark carousels better fit for a haunted house than a carnival. No, it's not Halloween. We are entering the mind of Tim Burton. You'll recognize iconic characters like Edward Scissorhands, movie props like the Penguin's bassinet from Batman Returns, and plenty of sketches and art from the holiday favorite The Nightmare Before Christmas. Visually, Burton is one of the most recognizable directors in the world. Set designs, gothic elements, and the way he plays with light and shadow can be seen in everything from Batman to the upcoming live-action adaptation of Disney's Dumbo. But how did Tim Burton rise in the world of Hollywood? What journey has the director gone on to create such a unique style and visual sense of mind? Get ready to dive into the filmography of the strange, weird, and often twisted world of Tim Burton.
So now that we took a little bit more look into who Tim Burton is and a few of his movies, he has many. Let's look at the next slide here of ideas. So on this slide, I want to take a moment to look at just some ideas. Here is from one of his movies. Looking at his sketches, he has a very distinct style. And so here is one of the brides, and I think the movie's called The Corpse Bride. And you can see she has rather large eyes, very tiny nose, and a small mouth. But everything has to do with large eyes, unique faces, lots of dark and light colors. And he usually works in a lot of black and white. So an example to give you is, look at this cat here. If somebody was to draw or paint a cat, they want to make it as realistic as they can. But then if you look at Disney and how Disney or Pixar can make some of their characters, they draw them cartoony-like to make it more, child-friendly or fun. And then you have Tim Burton's look. And you can see how he changes it up by, really thin necks. It's what he's known for. A unique face, big eyes, small nose, small mouth. And so here is, what you'll notice. I will share with you these two different how to draws, but Walt Disney Studios has an animation studios, and they teach you how they draw some of these characters. Looking back at our room that I'm sharing with you today, when you click on the picture, you'll be able to open up this video that I'm showing you so you can reference it at any point. And then the item on the left is actually all the papers that I show you from that resource. So you can look at how to draw the different faces and eyes, etc. All right, so these resources in our Google Classroom come from another art teacher, Alice, who was able to create these. And I believe the creator is Alice Felice from Navi Art. So what I wanted to talk about today is these wonderful pictures of her resources are, talked about Tim Burton facial proportions. So I know this is a duplicate here, but it's just to give you an idea of, what are the different features that he typically does with his characters. They're always going to have a really thin and long neck, a very tiny, tiny mouth and nose, and these really huge eyes. And then you can look at the face itself, seems to be almost like an upside down teardrop. So if I turn it up this way, it looks like a nice little teardrop, right? What I want us to play with on either a piece of paper or a sketchbook prompt is I want you to look at the different features that we have in there and play around with trying to recreate it or duplicate it. So the very first one actually that I would like us to work on, and these are all in order in our virtual art room for the week for the Tim Burton project. All we're going to do today is really practice before we start with our main one. So here is the, and I'll zoom out a little bit, our example sheet. And I'll place this right here. And for me, I'm going to use this area. Those in class, you can either just in your sketchbook, just break up 4 and really play around with the different heads, eyes, nose, mouth. At home, same thing on a sketchbook or on a piece of paper. Try to divide into 4 corners or sections here and play around with the different ideas and techniques that Tim Burton tends to have. So with the head, you look at this more teardrop shape. I'm going to draw myself a teardrop. All right, so it doesn't have to be perfect, and then it has a nice long neck, right? And then the next one that you look at looks more like a big oval or a circle. So play around with that shape. It really made it like an oval there. And then you have this one. How do you replicate this? Well, I always look at things first and I practice. So here's like a little bit of a rainbow. It comes down a little bit, and then it kind of does this jawline. So recreating it for myself, a little bit of a rainbow, line comes down, and then it just meets in that jawline. And then I do a really skinny neck. And then you do the same thing with the other one. So each of these head shapes really give you an idea of the character. What are you really looking for? What type of characters would have a really big head this way? I don't know, would it be more villain-like? Would it not be more villain-like? What to you, based off of movies that you've watched that are made by Tim Burton, those are just some common features. The next area I want you to play around with are the eyes. So play with just practicing, because you'll get an idea of what works for you. How close are your eyes? Are your eyes a little further apart? That all makes a big difference. Same with these other ones. It might be easier to do 1 at a time or 2 at a time. The one thing I really like about practicing what others have drawn or other artists is it gives you a chance to try something that you might not have tried before. Like these eyelashes. I don't think I would ever have done eyelashes that are like this. The little V's. So you might find a new style or incorporate it into what you're drawing. And look at these eyelashes. So as I'm doing it, I'm counting how many are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the bottom, there's only 3. It gives a different look. And who knew you could be that strategic and thoughtful of how many eyelashes you put on that would really change the character. Now again, these are smaller, but really far apart. And that gives a different kind of look. And then you have these other ones right here. So I want you to take the time and play around in your sketchbook and on your pages with doing the different noses and the different mouths. Just like we did when we were practicing the head, the eyes, and the nose, mouth, etc. on our papers, the next thing that I really would like you to do is just to play around with the different styles of hair. So on your paper that you're playing with, we're really just sketching today. We're getting an idea of what we're looking for, what we like, what things are easier for us. I want you to look through the file about hair. So in our Google virtual room, you're going to notice there's a PDF that has so many different options of hair. So here we have boys' hair, now we have girls' hair. We have more different styles, like no hair at all, but having bows or fun ears. And then, you play around with that. So this was like an easy template to just kind of play around with. What I was hoping for you is, saving paper with what you have. Let's play with the idea of a face. So what is a style face that you feel is most close related to you? Because you're going to be making a self-portrait. So is your face more of this teardrop? Is it more round? Is it a little bit more, chiseled, or you've got cheeks? Or are you really skinny, tall, long that you're looking for your head? So on the paper, you could either do that, or you can just do a basic shape and then play around with the different hair types. So with the shape, I'm just doing some small areas on here of my paper. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just more of a sketch. So looking through those examples, and you'll be looking on your Chromebooks, what are some styles that you really like that refer or look like you? And again, this is just practicing. So I'm going to flip to a page and I'm going to go, what do I look like the most? Well, I have my hair up most days, right? So I see this almost M shape for the top of the head. I look really M shape here. And then it kind of goes like a bubble like this. And then I add the hair. So you can have your hair anyway, what's going to make it look like you. So these are fun. All I want you to really work on is play with the shape. Maybe you don't think that that's the best shape for your face. Maybe you have a different head shape that you are liking. You really like that teardrop shape. All right, so then you can go to another one that reflects or looks a little like you, and this is just playing around and seeing what styles you can mix and match them a little bit. It doesn't mean that you have to copy one exactly. Maybe your hair doesn't go that long. Maybe it likes to tuck behind over here. So I want you to really play around with some of the different shapes and the head shapes and do at least 6 of these. So play around with 6 different ideas. Leave them like this. And then I'll show you the next step that we're going to get into. Now that I've got my hair done, the next thing is there's a bunch of different ideas for mouths, eyes, and ears and noses, right? So on your practice that you were doing with your hair, what I would like you to then do, I bumped the camera. What I want you to then do is kind of look over all the different things all together. So we've had several different ideas and examples, and I want you to think of yourself. What type of smile do you want yourself to have? Do you want one of the fun ones where you got the stitches, you got the little lips and mouth? There are all sorts of things that you can connect. Do you like this type of nose? Do you like any of the eyes, nose, and mouths that you had before? So in your 6 that you sketched out, I would like you to go and try to add in some of the different eyes and features and things that resemble you and what you think you would use for yourself as a self-portrait. So looking at those examples that you have in our virtual art room, take a moment and start playing in each of these with some of the different concepts and designs that you would use to turn yourself into a Tim Burton character. So what I wanted to show you is I used a very bumpy old pen, but I know we're working on lots of different surfaces. So this is supposed to be sketching, it's supposed to be just your quick, and it's supposed to be quick and not your best work. And all I want you to do is play around with different ideas of what you look like. I don't know if any of these look like me. I was just playing around with ideas. So the next thing that I would do is go in and be like, I need to remember that Tim Burton has a special rule, and his rule is to have huge eyes. And when I was doing this one, I realized, oh no, I drew really small eyes. I needed to make them larger. So I had like another, circle in here, which makes it look even weirder, but that's okay. So we're going to be doing our facial proportions on our finished project. But before we do that, I want you to kind of pick what are some eyes that you really liked, you enjoy doing, you think it looks like you, what's a hairstyle, face, etc. And then we're going to begin our rough draft of our piece and see where we go from there. All right, so playing around with my idea, what I want to do first is start with my face shape. So just like we have our example, I want us to do our face shape. All right, so we're going to have a piece of paper again, and this time we're going to use the whole thing and really plan out what we're going to do. So we have our rough draft started, and then we'll move on to our final draft copy. All right, so we want to remember the shape. So what shape did you really feel that you were relating to? And so you want to draw that on your paper. We're going to make a nice big area of that shape. Okay? So I'm sticking with this one just to give myself a little ease. The next thing is I really want to break down the facial proportions really well, right? So with our facial proportions, we have these lines. So take your time and add those lines right down the middle of your character. This gives a more definitive of what's the middle. And then your eyes are typically around that middle side or middle of your face. So I wrote a little note to myself that that is the middle. So you'll make that T sign almost. This is going to help guide you where you put your eyes. A little bit lower will be the nose, and a little bit lower by the nose is actually where the mouth placement is going to be. Once you've done those, I want you to draw two really long, thin lines for the neck, and then add your shoulders. Once you've added in those features, look back at your sketches and decide what eyes did you choose. You can always make your own variety of them. So here I chose to do the circle with the eyelashes. And remember, the big key part here is you want to make those eyes really big. Try to make them as symmetrical as you can, but make them large. Then where that little dot was that you placed for where the nose goes, add in the nose. Consider some eyebrows. And your next point is where the mouth is going to go. and you'll draw in your mouth. Great job. Once you're finished with that, consider what type of ears you would like to give your self-portrait. If you were turned into a Tim Burton character, what would you have? Think about your hairstyle. How do you do your hair every day? How would you like your character to be for a self-portrait of your hair? So looking back at those examples that you practiced, which hairstyle fits you? Here, I always tend to have my hair pulled up because when I'm running everywhere and doing art everywhere, it's just easier for me not to get my hair in the way. If there's something that really stands out for you, I enjoyed looking at some of those flowers. Add in those extra features. If you wear a particular headband each day, wear that. If you, as a guy or boy, enjoy your headphones or something else that others know is about you, add that in. And again, this is just a sketch, so don't stress or worry if it doesn't look the way you want it to be. As this is our start on this project, when you're done, let's take a picture and upload it to our Google Classroom like we've done, and that way we can see the growth of our sketch to our final project.